Hi, welcome to Prime Recap. A dog and his friends set out on a risky mission to rescue a robot from the clutches of a deranged cyborg. But what the dog can't imagine is that he will meet someone from his past during this exciting adventure. Today we will recap the story of the movie, Pets United from 2019. A dog named Roger hides from a drone after stealing a sausage. He lives in Robo City, a futuristic, technological city. The dog hates pets, especially cats. However, the shrewd Sheriff Bill has his eye on him, as the dog is wanted for his misdeeds. Determined, Roger walks through the open zoo and arrives at an apartment building. In order to distract the watchman, the dog strategically does number 2 in front of the door and thus manages to enter unnoticed. After passing the security guard, he watches the city from one of the balconies and suddenly he hears a noise and goes to investigate. He sneaks into the building and comes across his archenemy, a cat sleeping peacefully. In the same place, Roger comes across a fridge full of food, and cannot resist the temptation to steal all the meat. However, his greed leads him to knock over the chicken drumsticks, challenging his ability to retrieve them before they fall to the ground, and the noise wakes up Kitty Belle. Unfortunately, one of the drumsticks escapes from his paws, prompting him to give up and drop all the others. Although the cat remains asleep, as soon as Roger approaches to collect the food, she appears before him. Immediately, Belle orders him to return to where he came from. However, his guardian appears before the two can come into conflict. Then the dog runs away, and the woman is proud to see her companion defending the house against the mud intruder. Later, Roger goes to the Robo City market, getting in easily, since the door opened by itself. However, his luck runs out when the sheriff appears and catches him trying to rob the establishment. As he runs away, the dog throws back cans of food in an attempt to hit Bill, who is right behind him. One of these objects obstructs the guard's vision, preventing him from dodging the fruit that the dog has dropped. After the collision, the sheriff's head rolls up to Roger, but he still keeps talking. Then the dog kicks his head in Bill's direction, who quickly picks it up and puts it back in place. However, before he can strike back, Roger is already far away from the marketplace. In the streets of Robo City, the dog seeks refuge in the narrow alleys, carrying his new acquisition. However, his ruthless adversary continues to pursue him, but this time without attracting attention. Then Roger arrives in an alley he calls home, where he shares the stolen items from the supermarket with other animals. Not only animals, but there is also a man who works at the zoo. His name is Beezer. He is hairy and has a giant nose. The dog irritates him constantly, making jokes about his nose. Suddenly, a mysterious noise emerges from the trash can, arousing the curiosity of the dog, who approaches to investigate. However, to his surprise, what he finds is only a pet robot named Bob. At this point, the dog expresses his dislike for both machines and pets, claiming that the place is meant only for homeless individuals. However, Beezer interrupts him and informs him that the robot is also alone, and is still being chased by the junk hunter. Bob mistakes Roger for a cat and confesses that he wishes to become his best friend. However, the dog becomes irritated and rejects his friendship. Determined, the dog climbs up to one of the buildings using the elevator, which takes him to his little house located on the building's terrace. Meanwhile, Belle's guardian is applying perfume to her when suddenly the cat is startled by a spider crawling across the floor. Quickly, the woman calls the robot cleaner to remove the little intruder. After some time, Belle enjoys a day at a pet hotel. There she has the opportunity to meet a variety of animals. Among them is Ronaldo, an incredibly strong dog who has been awarded Pet of the Year for 5 consecutive years. Unexpectedly, Mayor Frank appears on television and makes an important statement. While watching the message, Roger is flooded with vivid memories of his former owner. The man in his recollection, as well as the mayor, mentions that is an extremely special day. Meanwhile, back where Frank is, he is planning something with his robot subordinates, implying that the citizens should enjoy the moment while they can. At Roger's home, Bill unleashes a destructive invasion, using a machine to demolish everything in his path. Mercilessly, he directs the excavator against the dog building, causing the structure to collapse. Shaken by the loss of his home, the animal feels deeply sad. However, in the midst of his anguish, Bob comes along to offer consolation. Before Roger can proceed in search of a new shelter, Bill shows up and catches the two friends with a net. Fortunately, the little robot soon finds an ingenious solution and uses a laser to free them from the trap. After getting distracted taking a selfie, Bill realizes that the two fugitives have escaped. Determined to capture them, he tries to use his gun, but to his surprise, it is jammed. While he is trying to fix the gun, a plunger flies towards him, hitting him right in the face. Thus the two friends manage to escape. After this, the sheriff decides to call for mini robots to chase his fugitives. They run desperately through the city streets, but Roger begins to lose speed and is about to be caught. However, Bob acts just in time and carries his friend, preventing him from being captured. Facing various obstacles along the way, they must skillfully dodge the cars on the street while the mini-robots get closer and closer and the sheriff awaits them ahead. After dodging Bill, they narrowly avoid an imminent collision with a car. Then they must dodge over the public transportation tracks and are blown into the air. As they land on the ground, the two friends are separated, and the sheriff rushes to capture the dog. But Bob manages to distract the guard, allowing Roger to knock him out. As they wander the streets, Bob has the bright idea of posing as a pet sitter and convinces the dog to wear a collar, enabling the two of them to walk unnoticed to the pet hotel. After entering the establishment with ease, the duo encounters dancing dogs, cats, and even a pig, as well as other animals that care only about appearance. As Walter runs on the treadmill, Sophie maliciously increases the speed, causing the little one to be thrown away, falling onto a jumper. As the poor dog recovers on the trampoline, the mayor reappears on television, revealing his intention to perfect the world to the point of eliminating any flaws and leaving no room for the failures. Finally, the man expresses his disgust for the citizens of the city who, according to him, are imperfect, and only the robots he has created have achieved perfection. Immediately, he imposes a deadline of only 1 hour for the citizens to leave the city. Soon after, the man begins to manipulate technological panels, resulting in the stoppage of the Ferris wheel, which begins to disassemble. Then the ring that held the wheel in place detaches, forming a huge one-eyed robot. Wasting no time, the monster begins to attack ferociously, threatening the lives of everyone around it, and the citizens panic, running desperately for safety. As chaos unfolds in the town, Belle decides to share the disturbing story that occurred the night before. She relates how a burglar broke into her home and that she had to bravely defend herself. After the confrontation, the trickster was taken to puppy heaven. To Belle's surprise, Roger was by her side the entire time, and is intrigued by this incredible adventure. Suddenly, the giant monster passes by the hotel, while in the streets, evil robots aim to capture Ronaldo's guardian. On the way out of town, Belle's owner remembers that the cat is still at the hotel, but is unable to pick her up due to the huge traffic jam. At the hotel, some pets are rescued by their owners. However, many animals remain trapped there. It is at this point that Roger has the idea of taking them to Belle's home. However, the animals show distrust towards the dog, but upon spotting the giant robot outside, they all agree to accompany him. As they leave, the pets encounter the menacing presence of the monster. Brave Ronaldo decides to confront it, but quickly realizes that he is at a disadvantage. Luckily, Slow-Mo appears and manages to distract the giant robot, saving everyone. However, the joy is short-lived, as Slow-Mo is eventually struck down by the monster, leaving the other pets moved by their friend's sacrifice. The animals then face the challenge of crossing the zoo to reach the cat's house, which creates uneasiness and apprehension at the uncertainties that may arise along the way. Fortunately, Beezer appears to reassure them. After entering the place, the group draws the attention of the mayor, who monitors them through surveillance cameras. When he realizes that Bob is roaming freely, the man becomes extremely irritated, since this line of robots is malfunctioning and should have been eliminated by now. Along the way, the group comes across a menacing hyena, ready to devour them. However, Bob acts quickly by directing a blow at the animal's head, knocking it to the ground. Later on, the pets smell a horrible stench, realizing that it comes from the disgusting breath of a huge Komodo dragon. Despite the danger, Ronaldo is not intimidated by the beast and moves on. To help his friend, the cat decides to distract the beast, creating an opportunity to escape unnoticed. After their reunion, Belle and Ronaldo hear a roar coming from a cave, from which a tiger emerges trying to scare the pets. However, Beezer unexpectedly appears to protect them, bravely facing the predator. Suddenly, the animal starts laughing, mocking Beezer's nose. This teasing irritates the big nose deeply, leading it to attack the feline. After the humiliation, the three zoo predators form a team to conspire against the pets. Roger and his friends encounter a lemur, which reveals that the dog is being sought. Then the little guy tells them that during the construction of Robo City, the animals were driven out or caged in the zoo. As time went by, robots were created and people's laziness increased. This resulted in the accumulation of garbage all over the city. In addition, the mayor turned into a bad person after a terrible event. Now everyone is anxious to find out what has happened to the man. In Frank's castle, he continues to produce more and more robots, preparing to create his perfect world. After a long journey, the animals finally arrive at Belle's building. However, they do not realize that there is a brutal robot right behind them. Upon entering the apartment, the cat realizes that her guardian is not present, realizing that she has been left behind. Belle feels a deep disappointment toward her owner, believing that Roger is unable to understand such feelings, since he has not had a human companion. However, the dog reveals that he once had a companion, and they were inseparable until, on a fateful walk, Roger got lost from him forever. Over the years, the dog eventually forgot his master and adapted to life on the streets. After venting their frustration, the pets decide to ask the robot cleaner for ice cream. However, it starts shaking and suddenly shuts down. So Bob checks the situation and realizes that the robot is in battle mode, activated by the mayor. Suddenly, the machine starts throwing various objects at the group of animals, but they manage to dodge them easily. The situation quickly becomes dangerous as the enemy starts throwing knives at them. But Roger and Belle manage to dodge the blades. The robot then lunges at Sophie with a squeegee, but she deftly defends herself using an umbrella. The battle comes to a stalemate, but Walter intervenes and bites his opponent's arm. Seizing this opportunity, the piggy delivers the final blow. After deciding to leave the premises, the pets encounter their evil stalker at the building's entrance. Now, the security guard is also in battle mode, threatening to attack one of the little ones. However, Sophie puts herself on the front lines and saves him. In the midst of their escape, the pets manage to reach the subway, but as they enter the cars, they realize that Sophie and Walter have been left behind. Determined, the two abandoned pets find a skateboard and decide to use it to reach their friends. However, the couple realizes that they are being followed by a robot. To escape, they must run faster and faster and perform skillful maneuvers, dodging the cars that cross their path. Suddenly, the sheriff appears in front of the fugitives, but they manage to swerve quickly. However, their pursuer hits Bill head-on, causing him to lose his head once again. In the subway, the other pets get into trouble when the mayor unreasonably increases the speed of the vehicle. As they approach a curve, the subway ends up going off the tracks, which leads the friends to hug each other to face the impact of the fall. After landing on a building, the subway cars keep plummeting one by one to the ground. However, the animals manage to keep their carriage balanced and avoid the fall. Before they can celebrate, Ronaldo tries to retrieve his medal that fell on the edge near the cliff. But Roger stops him, ensuring everyone's safety. Meanwhile, Walter increases the speed of his skateboard, almost causing a fall, but they manage to balance again. After finding the subway car, the sheriff realizes that there is no one else inside. In a moment of carelessness, he ends up moving the carriage, which results in the vehicle unbalancing and falling, leaving Bill headless again. As Walter and Sophie continue their escape on their skateboard, they go over a ramp that launches them high above their friends. However, they end up falling into a shopping mall a little further down the road, and the skateboard hits Bill in the head, causing him to fall. As the pets go in search of their friends, Belle suddenly smells something unpleasant. When they look back, they find the zoo's predators approaching. Bob acts quickly, opening the door of the establishment and then closing it, causing the tiger to slam its face into the glass. Once inside, they find Walter and Sophie waiting for them, and everyone takes advantage of the moment to have fun together. As they find a candy store, Bob comes across robot dinosaurs on the shelves and, ignoring Roger's warning, decides to turn them on. Consequently, the mayor discovers the pet's location and activates the toys to attack them. While the dog uses a golf club to fend them off, Ronaldo throws one of the robots away, and even Belle manages to knock some of them down using a rope. Despite their efforts, the machines keep getting closer and closer. At this point, Roger throws a little red ball to distract one of them, while Walter hits the others and uses a small toy gun to eliminate the last opponents. Then they are about to leave the place victorious. However, they realize that they have been followed by several robots. Immediately, Sophie goes on the attack against her enemies, and with a powerful kick, launches one of them so far away that it almost leaves the Earth's orbit. However, she ends up being knocked out by another opponent. With no way out, the group is in trouble with many opponents on their tail, but they are saved by the distraction that the predators unintentionally cause. Now the pets must escape from the dangerous animals. Without wasting any time, the tiger tries to catch Bob, but he closes the door just in time, causing the animal to slam the door, and the monsters are trapped inside the building. Afterwards, Bob feels extremely sad, because he was the one who turned on the dinosaur robots and put his friends' lives in danger. Thus, the poor little guy believes that the mayor is only after him, and that he must turn himself in so that his companions can get to safety. When they see a police car approaching, everyone leaves the streets, except Bob, who waits for the guard. Thus, the little robot ends up being arrested, causing Roger to run after the vehicle, but he cannot catch up with it. While Ronaldo tells how the robots are shredded outside the city, the dog shows up and says he must save his friend. Even though he has the support of the other pets, the dog doesn't want to let them take any chances and asks them to leave town if he isn't back by the next day. After Roger leaves his friends, the wise lemur suddenly appears. According to him, Bob has been taken to the world of robots. However, it is very difficult to get there, except for a shortcut through the stinking sewer. Wasting no time, Belle is the first to jump into the sewer. Meanwhile, the predators have managed to escape their enemies, and while celebrating through the city streets, they are almost hit by a robot that falls unexpectedly from the sky. In the mayor's office, the evil mind behind all this chaos is actually a cyborg created by Frank, who has been impersonating his creator all this time. The man, however, is not proud of having created something so evil. In the meantime, Roger finally makes it to the outskirts of the machine lair. While inside the castle, Bob is provoked by the enemy, who confesses that the little guy is the only machine with emotions left in the city. In a fit of rage, Bob lands a punch to the sheriff's head, causing it to pop out of place for the 1000th time. After this, the little guy escapes and tries to push a button on the cyborg, but fails. Thus, the evil robot believes that Bill is also a defective machine, and discards him as trash. In the city sewers, the pets come across many junkyards that are suddenly activated and try to capture the pets. Before they can, Sheriff Bill emerges from the midst of the machines and thus begins to help the little animals, since he, too, has been scorned as trash. At the castle, the cyborg is about to throw Bob into the scrap eater machine, but the little guy's friends have just arrived on the outskirts of the place, ready to save him. Looking for his friend, the dog is almost crushed by a machine, but quickly manages to find Bob. Then Roger tries to get the little robot off the conveyor belt, but it is fixed in the machine by a magnet. Even though they cannot do anything about it, the dog stays by his companion's side until, finally, the rest of the pets find them. At the same instant, Walter and Sophie struggle to stop the treadmill, while Belle tries to hold her friends outside. However, the two pets lose control of the treadmill, leaving it up to Ronaldo to hold the teeth of the machine, bringing it to a stop. In this way, Bob is saved from destruction and all the friends hug happily. Soon after, robots appear to take the pets' piece away, but Bill convinces the machines to fight the real enemy. Just then, the evil cyborg activates one of the giant robots to attack them. In an attempt to destroy the monster, Sophie jumps on the conveyor belt of the machine. So the monster gets one of its claws stuck, and is driven to destruction. The pets then decide to enter the tower to defeat their enemy, and upon entering, they meet the real mayor. As soon as Roger meets the man, he recognizes him as his former master, and the two have an exciting reunion. After that, the heroes continue their search for the cyborg, who taunts them as soon as they approach. Wasting no time, Bob finally manages to shut down the monster, and one of the robots disposes of its remains for recycling. After the victory, the mayor takes the animals out of town, allowing them to enjoy the beautiful green landscape. To everyone's surprise, Slow-Mo unexpectedly reappears, revealing that he managed to escape the giant robot's attack unharmed and has been fine the whole time. The predators are finally contained and return to the zoo. Meanwhile, the pets decide to throw a party in the apartment, gathering all their friends, including the mayor, who is happy again with his companion Roger. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, please like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.